The Vatican is getting ready to mark its Jubilee year. It will run from December 24th of this year, ending in January 2026. Jubilee happens every 25 years. It's a time when Catholics renew their faith, seek forgiveness, and strengthen their relationship with God. To explain this further is Vatican correspondent Julian Paparella. He joins us now from the Vatican. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much, Amandalina.
Okay, so for those who don't know, tell us more about the significance of the Jubilee.
Jubilees in the Catholic Church have existed for a long time, since the year 1300. So they've been something that have happened every 25 years, as you mentioned, in the life of the Church. The last one was back in 2000, and now here we are in 2025. So it's really a once-in-a-generation opportunity for Catholics in particular to renew their faith, but it's not just exclusive to Catholic. The invitation is extended to any Christians, to anyone who wants to take part. It's a time of forgiveness. It's a time of healing. It's a time of hope. It's a time for joy and a time for coming together. And this time, Pope Francis really wants to emphasize that dimension of hope. It's a context in today's world where we're moving out and beyond from the COVID pandemic. We're facing various wars. We can think of Ukraine. We can think of Israel, Palestine. And Pope Francis has dedicated this Jubilee to hope. Now, this idea of Jubilee started way back in the Old Testament. So the Jewish people had this idea that every so often they would have a year where they would let the prisoners free, they would cancel any debts, and they would let the earth rest. So they wouldn't do any planting or harvesting. It was really a time of grace, a time of liberation, a time of canceling any debts and forgiving people. And that's what we're trying to experience here again in 2025.
You mentioned that last one happened before the COVID-19 pandemic, so it's been quite some time and it'll be much different this time. So what exactly goes on during this year? Are there religious ceremonies that people might want to come and see?
There's many religious ceremonies that mark this opportunity. Here in Rome, it's especially focused on the Holy Doors, which will be opening on Christmas Eve, December 24th at St. Peter's. This holy door that's a sign of us moving forward through history towards the future with God. All these pilgrims, you can imagine the tens of thousands, even millions of people who will be coming from all across the globe to walk through this door together as a sign of solidarity, as a sign of hope, as a sign of moving forward towards the future. There'll also be some other basilicas here in Rome where those holy doors will be open. These are doors that are only open for Jubilees, and in between they're actually bricked up, so that no one can open them, no one can walk through them. But it's a sign of walking forward into God's mercy, into God's forgiveness together as one common humanity, as one church into the future. And then here in Rome, there'll be various opportunities for different groups, artists and young people and priests and all different kinds of people to come and have special events, weekends events in Rome throughout the entire year. Also throughout the world, there'll be different ways of celebrating. In Paris, for example, they've just announced recently that there'll be different basilicas, different churches there that will be open for special pilgrimage. Likewise, in many different parts of the world. In England, there'll be a pilgrimage tour, different parts of the country. So it's really an opportunity for us to get together, to pray, to entrust the future to God. And I'm sure also in Canada at our different shrines, at Saint Anne de Beaupré near Quebec City, at St. Joseph's Oratory in Montreal, in Midland at the Martyrs Shrine there, just north of Toronto. There'll also be special events. So stay tuned as well for what's happening, not just in Rome, but also in our own local area.
It's always nice to hear that Canadians can celebrate here as well if they can't make it to Europe, because it sounds like it's going to be a very big year for visits to Italy. I mean, the country is already flooded with tourists in a normal year. How many tourists are expected to come this year? Are you expecting it to be busier than the average year?
So normally the estimate is that each year in Rome, there's about 13 to 15 million visitors. And the mayor of Rome has already suggested that there could be as many as 33 to 35 million people coming over the course of 2025. You can see it already here in the city. Throughout this year, there have been various attempts to rejuvenate the city, various upgrades, renovations, building new subway stations, building tunnels that go under streets so that the streets can be just for pedestrians. Everywhere you go, it seems that things are being spruced up. There's lots of scaffolding, lots of things are being made clean and pristine for all the visitors who will come. It will be quite intense. There'll be lots and lots of people. We don't know the exact number, but certainly many pilgrims, many tourists from around the world. It might be a little bit overwhelming for people who might be coming just for a simple holiday in Rome, but it will also be a very special time. There'll be a very unique vibe in the air. And so especially for Catholics, but really for anyone, it'll be a really special time to be in Rome if you can make it in 2025.
Well, many are also praising the Pope for including the LGBTQ2S+ community in the Jubilee. How will they be included? And tell us more about this decision.
Yeah, just recently it was announced that there will be a pilgrimage for LGBTQ plus people. It will be happening in September. There'll be a prayer vigil taking place at the Jesuit Church here in Rome on September the 5th of next year. And that will be followed by a pilgrimage through the Holy Door of St. Peter's the following day on September 6th. Now, as our viewers may know, this has really been important for Pope Francis. He repeats often that the church is for everybody. It's a home where everyone is welcome, with our arms outstretched to welcome any person. And so this is really an example of that in the midst of the Jubilee year, that LGBTQ plus people are part of the church. There are many Catholics who are LGBTQ plus, and it's also a sign for those who are outside of the church that the church is trying to become more inclusive, more welcoming. It hasn't always been in the past, but this Jubilee is one more opportunity to try and move forward into a fresh chapter with hope, with arms open to welcome absolutely everyone, and realizing that everyone who's in the church has a part to play. Everyone is at home.
Julian, we're so grateful for this. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us today. That's Vatican correspondent Julian Paparella in Vatican City.
Thank you.